One night, that's all it took for this war to enter a far more dangerous phase. Late last night, Russia unleashed one of the heaviest assaults seen since the invasion began. Missiles, swarms of drones, hypersonic weapons, entire waves of attacks hitting Ukrainian cities at the same time. But according to Vladimir Putin, this wasn't simply another military operation. He called it retaliation. Russian officials claim Ukraine struck a student dormitory in a Russian-controlled region where teenagers were sleeping inside. Reports from Russian authorities say several children were killed, and less than a day later, the response came. What followed was massive. Russia launched one of its most feared missile systems again, a weapon so fast and advanced that Ukraine reportedly has no way to stop it. At the same time, Moscow is reportedly preparing nearly 20,000 additional troops for a major new offensive. And the most alarming part? This war no longer looks contained. It looks like it's expanding. The United States is beginning to distance itself from peace negotiations. European nations are increasing military aid, NATO tensions are growing, and Russia has already carried out nuclear readiness drills near NATO territory. So what actually happened that night? Why is Russia escalating so aggressively right now? And are we watching the beginning of the most dangerous stage of this war so far? Stay until the end, because we're breaking down everything that happened, what triggered it, and what it could mean for the future. In a single overnight assault, Russia launched around 90 missiles alongside roughly 600 drones targeting multiple Ukrainian cities across the country, not just Kyiv. According to Ukrainian officials, air defenses intercepted dozens of missiles, while hundreds of drones were either jammed or destroyed before impact. Several additional missiles reportedly malfunctioned before reaching their targets. But despite those interceptions, the destruction was still severe. In Kyiv alone, at least 2 people were killed and dozens more were injured. Fires erupted across residential neighborhoods. Schools sustained damage. Cultural landmarks were struck. Ukrainian officials described it as one of the most damaging nights for the capital since the war began in 2022. The range of weapons used also sent a clear message. Russia reportedly launched Iskander ballistic missiles, Kalibr cruise missiles, Kh-101 air-launched missiles, Zircon hypersonic weapons, and Kinzhal missiles. But one missile in particular drew global attention: the Oreshnik, a nuclear-capable intermediate-range ballistic missile designed to deploy multiple warheads during descent. Russia reportedly fired one during this attack toward Bielotserkva, a city located south of Kyiv. Why does that matter? Because Ukraine currently has no reliable system capable of intercepting it. Even Patriot missile defenses were never designed to stop something moving at those speeds. And this wasn't the first time Russia used the Oreshnik. The missile was first deployed in late 2024 during a strike on Dnipro. A second launch reportedly targeted western Ukraine earlier this year. Now, for the third time, it has been used even closer to central Ukraine. Each launch appears more aggressive than the last. What makes this even more significant is that Ukrainian and Western intelligence reportedly expected something major was coming. Just one day before the strikes, President Zelensky publicly warned that Russia was preparing a large-scale assault. Intelligence reports pointed toward activity near Russia's Kapustin Yar missile testing site. Around the same time, the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv also issued an alert warning of a potential major air attack within the next 24 hours. Russia says the trigger for the retaliation was a Ukrainian drone strike carried out days earlier in Starobilsk, a Russian-controlled city in occupied Luhansk. According to Russian authorities, the strike hit a dormitory linked to a local educational institution where teenagers between the ages of 14 and 18 were reportedly sleeping. Russian emergency officials later reported multiple deaths and dozens of injuries. Ukraine denies targeting civilians. Kyiv says the actual target was a Russian drone command center operating in the area and accused Moscow of manipulating the story for propaganda purposes. So, what was the building really being used for? That remains disputed. Russia describes it as a terrorist attack on civilians. Ukraine describes it as a legitimate military strike. But regardless of the truth, the retaliation came fast. And the timing of everything else happening around it is what has analysts most concerned. Only days earlier, Russia completed major nuclear readiness exercises involving tens of thousands of personnel near NATO's eastern borders. During those drills, Russia reportedly practiced deployment scenarios involving tactical nuclear systems in Belarus and tested multiple advanced weapons platforms, including Yar's intercontinental missiles, Zircon hypersonic missiles, and Kinzhal systems. Then shortly after those exercises ended, Russia launched the Oreshnik again. The same missile Putin has previously referenced while warning Europe about response times and missile interception limits. Is Russia preparing to use nuclear weapons? There's no evidence of that right now. But is Moscow deliberately signaling that possibility to pressure NATO and Europe psychologically? That certainly appears to be part of the strategy. Each individual event might not seem overwhelming on its own, but together they form a much larger message. At the same time, the diplomatic situation is also changing rapidly. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently indicated that Washington is no longer interested in acting as the primary mediator between Russia and Ukraine after peace discussions failed to produce meaningful progress. That marks a major shift. For months, there was still hope that American involvement could eventually help open the door to negotiations. Now that optimism appears to be fading, and while Washington seems to be stepping back, Europe is moving in the opposite direction. European governments are increasing weapons deliveries, expanding defense production, and reinforcing long-term military support for Ukraine, regardless of U.S. political uncertainty. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen responded to the overnight attacks by announcing additional support aimed at strengthening Ukraine's air defense capabilities. From Moscow's perspective, that looks less like temporary support and more like permanent escalation. Countries along NATO's eastern flank, especially the Baltic states, have also become increasingly vocal against Russia, despite the massive military imbalance they would face in a direct confrontation. Russian strategists now openly argue that stronger nuclear deterrence is necessary to force Europe to reconsider how far it's willing to go. Meanwhile, Ukrainian intelligence is warning that Russia may soon launch a major summer offensive. Reports suggest around 20,000 additional Russian troops are being positioned in reserve areas with potential objectives that include securing more territory in the Donbass and expanding pressure near northern Ukrainian cities such as Kharkiv and Sumy. Ukrainian officials believe Russia may struggle to achieve all of those goals quickly, but the pressure is clearly building. And these large-scale air attacks appear designed to stretch Ukraine's defenses while ground operations intensify simultaneously. Right now, this conflict is entering a very different stage. Diplomatic momentum is fading, military escalation is accelerating, and nuclear signaling is becoming impossible to ignore. The Oreshnik missile has now been used 3 separate times, and each launch has moved closer toward the center of Ukraine. What happens over the next few weeks could define where this war goes next. Will NATO continue increasing support? Can Ukraine withstand both the air assaults and growing pressure on the battlefield? And will anyone manage to restart serious diplomacy before the situation spirals even further? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep geopolitical breakdowns explained clearly and without the noise, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update.